The Pete Carroll Show. The first word from the Seahawks head coach every Monday at 9:30 with Mike Salk. Brought to you by Pizza Hut on 710 ESPN Seattle.
Waiting on Pete Carroll. Should be just a moment or two. It is also the Mike Salk Show here on 710 ESPN Seattle. New show starting at 6 o'clock now, so if you're accustomed to joining our station at 7 a.m., you can come an hour earlier. We're starting at 6, so please come join me. Let's see, you can also find it at 710sports.com if you like to stream it online, or if you prefer the podcasting, you can do it wherever you get your podcasts. Now on Apple Podcasts, finally. We fought the good fight. We battled against Apple and Google, and we are up everywhere. So subscribe, please. Go. What are you supposed? What do the YouTube kids say? Smash the subscribe button.
Smash and like the subscribe button, bros.
Yeah, my kids watch a ton of that stuff. So yeah, you can do that. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Some text messages here while we're waiting for Pete, and I've seen this one a few times or something like it today. 710-710, powered by Mac and Jacks. Are we going to address the missed extra point? No, we're not. Here's why. He's been really good as a kicker, and I'm not going to crush the guy for missing one extra point. B, I don't think it really factored into the game. I mean, like, if they had, okay, he missed it. If he had hit it, then Tennessee goes for 2 at the end of the game. I think they get
Probably get it.
Quite frankly, I'm surprised they didn't go for 2, weren't you?
Yes.
Didn't you think that Vrabel was going to go for 2 and just end the game?
And if we're going to address the missed extra point, there was also a missed field goal that would have made that.
Well, that was going to be C. I didn't get to C, but yes, that's what it was going to be. Yes, those 3 things. So, no, did it factor into the game? Sure. But was it even close to as big a deal as some of the other issues? Look, Russell Wilson is supposed to be able to overcome 1 extra point missed in the third quarter, right? Third quarter, right? Missed extra point. You had plenty of time to make up for that. And yes, you were gifted the missed field goal, and it was a really close play. But it probably should have been a touchdown the other end, where Julio Jones. I thought his heel was out of bounds according to every angle we saw on the broadcast. So I felt like they got it right. Maura was showing me Mike Lefko's tweet today with a picture, a still photo. I don't trust the still photos as much as the picture that I saw on the video, because it was from Tennessee website.
I just felt like everything I've ever been taught is it has to be indisputable to overturn what was called on the field.
I
didn't think it was indisputable.
Really? I thought what I saw on the film on CBS was indisputable. But again, I don't know what they're going to say on Tennessee,
Tennessee Wire or something. What was it from?
I don't know what it was. It was something like that.
Well, Lefko's a closet Titans fan.
Is that true? Yeah. I should have known that. Of course he is. Well, no, he found.
I don't know if it's closet, but he roots for the Titans.
All right. Well, it was like Tennessee alterthepicture.com. I think it was called.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was in line trying to get nachos.
TennesseePhotoshop.com. Okay.
I was just watching, trying to see one of the TVs, because the lines have not changed. I forgot all about that from having fans back. Those were still very long. And I got to celebrate with multiple fans around me who were all just like, I think that was a touchdown. Like, everybody agreed.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in fast motion, it definitely looked like it. And he did get the toe in. I don't know if you didn't get to listen to James Lofton, but, ex-wide receiver, he certainly wanted it to be a TD and was really pushing it that way. I don't know that the fact that as a former receiver he wanted it meant that was the way it is. In any event, let's welcome in the coach, Coach Carroll, sitting down with us for today's version of the Pete Carroll Show. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
What's up, Mike? Bad day, man.
I know. I'm sorry about that.
We screwed that up. It was too bad. It was a really good opportunity to get a great win at home and all that, and we didn't finish it right, and they get away with it.
Well, let's get into that in a moment. Can we start with something mildly positive before we kind of get into it? Because it was cool having the crowd back and seeing you at the end of the half and your excitement level. What was it like being back in front of this crowd for the first time in a couple of years?
Yeah, it was kind of reminiscent of times past, and it felt so connected, and I was so fired up that everybody was there, and everybody made it, and they made the protocols to get in, and it all got done, and the fans did what they needed to do, and take care of business outside the stadium, and we were rocking from word go. Doug Baldwin, doing the flag, and everything was it was kind of back in time almost, is kind of what it felt like.
Do you get to see the flag raiser? Did you get a chance to catch up with Doug at all yesterday?
No, I just sent him a note last night. Afterward, Glennon said that he had a real good interview with Mike Bumpus, I guess, and they put together a nice little presentation and all that. But it was a great moment, I know.
All right. Well, we'll dispense with what happened before the game. We'll get into what actually happened in the game.
Go.
What was the turning point in this?
I think the big run probably was the big boost that they got, when they break the run out and we just don't play the play well enough, and we slugged it out so many snaps with them and Derrick Henry all night long to give him that one. He did what you see him do. Those are his highlights. He's got more long runs than anybody in the history of football, and it's because he's an amazingly deceptive speed guy, and he put it away. And so I thought that was the big play that really gave them hope that they could hang. Up until then, we were staying out ahead of it, and then that, I think them closing so quickly just gave them a chance. They just needed one more chance, and they were able to get it.
What is the key to stopping a guy like that?
Oh man, yeah, you have to gang tackle him. You have to hit him before he gets going. You can see that once he gets rolling, like even on the play that bounced all the way back, his other touchdown play, once he got going, we couldn't close on him, and he's got unbelievably deceptive speed for such a big guy, and that's how he makes his play. So you got to get him before he gets going, and which we hit him all night long. He had the ball 40-something times in the game, and they really went to the horse, and man, he was there for him. He had a great game.
If that's the case, with a guy like him in particular, do you have to change some of your defensive style? Do you have to work on penetrating more than holding a gap? I mean, is it important to get deeper into the backfield against him?
It is important to get penetration to keep him from getting rolling, yeah. And we played tons of base defense and hit him a ton of times at the line of scrimmage or in the backfield. A bunch of plays that were really well played, and it was just that one. The two big touchdown runs were both just got kind of out executed. We could have played them cleaner. They were breakdowns in the discipline of it, that we weren't quite fit just right, and he made something happen on him. But we had to play after play after play. We had to play well. It's more about playing right and being in the right spots so you're relative to one another in the spacing that's necessary.
I know you hate what he did yesterday, but he strikes me as a player that on another day you truly appreciate and really enjoy what he does.
Yeah, well, I had much respect to him, really, and he did it. And we knew what we're up against. We prepared for him. We went after it. We played it great for the half. We played it until he really broke his big run, and he showed us a little something on the bounce back touchdown. But we were playing him, and we were doing it. We were up for the task, and then it just was at the end. He had more than we had.
The rotation seemed a little bit different this week from last week at defensive end, and sort of looking. You mentioned playing a lot of base defense, but just looking through the snap counts today, I think a lot of folks struck by fewer snaps for Carlos Dunlap, fewer snaps for Darrell Taylor. What goes into some of those decisions?
Well, those are a couple things, but they're third down situations. That's when those guys are really featured, to come off the sidelines to get in if they're not in the rotation at the time. Like in that last drive, I think they had 1 third down in that drive, in their big drive, and that just happens some to us. But they did some substituting that we wanted to slow down our substitutions. We were trying to match with them, and they were doing a nice job of going quick, and so we slowed down our subs. That was part of it. And then also, I called on Darrell a couple times, and he didn't have the same kind of game he had the week before. He wasn't quite as active, and so we were just rolling guys to see if somebody was going to get hot on the pass rush.
Bobby ends up with 20 tackles in the game, made a couple of big plays late. What did you make of his day?
It was a spectacular day of playing ball. I mean, he was matching up with Derrick Henry, Bobby had, I don't know, what his total amount of play played every play, but he was trying to match up with Henry and see if he could, just keep him from getting out, which I thought he did a fantastic job. Too many checkdowns late in the game, that they kind of controlled the ball a little bit. We were trying to stay on their wide receivers, and the ball didn't go outside. It kept going inside and just to the dump-offs. Bobby got a bunch of tackles on those checkdowns.
Did his sack that he had on the third down play, 3rd and goal, down near your goal line, is that a play, and this is one of these sort of help me understand the way football works, is that something that is called, or is that something he improvises at the line of scrimmage when he sees that it's open?
No, that was a call. That was a design call, yeah, and they executed it beautifully.
It sure looked pretty good, and
yeah,
obviously
awesome.
Bobby's ability to do that has always been one of his strengths.
His ability to close, and just just render the quarterback just helpless. Couldn't do anything, couldn't get rid of the ball or anything. That was a beautiful play.
I heard you talking about some of the penalties. 10 penalties for 100 yards is obviously too much, and a lot of them were after-play penalties or pre-play penalties. So, you sort of have 4 or 5 of them that fall into that category. Did Jordan Brooks actually sit for a series after his late hit?
Yeah, he did. It was clearly stuff that we can fix. I mean, it's so obvious. We had so many penalties, though, where after the play was completed. And it was because guys were trying so hard to go make something happen and not making the clear decision to hold off when you have to, whether it's the 2 hits on the quarterback. Both of those, you got to get your hands up so you don't hit helmet to helmet. Both were excellent plays, but yet, we know the rules. Throwing a guy out of bounds, the taunting penalty, that's the new rule. We just saw it. I'm afraid that we've opened up a can of worms, that we don't like. But by the definition of the new rule, if you make actions towards an opponent, then that could be referred to as taunting, that's how they saw it, and so they called it. Those are all plays that totally could be avoided. None of those had to happen, and we gave them 100 yards in penalties, and so those are all really easy things to fix. But I also say this, Mike, that we get so jazzed up and jacked in the second half to go finish this game off. We have to control that, and we have to make sure that the decision making is still in check, and we don't give them things that they, that otherwise they would ever get.
So how do you coach that? I mean, it's not like when I was a kid and they just make us run laps every time we had a dumb penalty. I mean, what is in your bag of options to handle something like that for your team?
The bench is a great ally, for the coach. When you have to use it, to make the point. And I thought that the one for Jordan was so clearly out of bounds, that was when I needed to just, I needed to make sure that, we're not going to keep going. This needs to stop, and so we'd make a little statement. And he went back in and played good after that. But, it just kind of caught up and added up to us. And it's just something that, again, I take responsibility for. I got to keep these guys with their heads on straight, and so, we're playing the game within the guidelines. And so many of those situations were ones that we really could control.
Well, a couple more things on the defense, and we'll switch over to the other side of the ball. A lot of conversation today about Sidney Jones. We haven't really gotten a chance to see much of yet. Is he somebody that is working his way into this? Could we see more of him before too long?
Yeah, he's battling, as is Bless Austin. Those guys are battling in practice to try and show how they fit and where they fit. It's kind of hard to just break them in the games, and so they've got to earn it through the practice reps. It takes a little while to get that done. They don't get as many turns sometimes, and it's it's hard to evaluate ultimately on those. But we're developing our depth and developing the competitiveness of the situation. And when the opportunity arises, he's ready to play now. He's been around long enough. He's ready to go, and probably was ready a week ago, but still wanted to just make sure. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm really pulling for those guys, both those guys, to figure in. Trey Brown will come back in another week too to get back in the competition of it too, which will be good.
So it leads to kind of another question that you're hearing bouncing around, especially the NFC West, and I know the Niners have been asked about it quite a bit, and that is Richard Sherman's status. Are there any ongoing conversations with Sherman?
Nothing right now.
Okay. To the offensive side of the ball, we'll move it along to what happened there, because it did not seem in the second half to look like what we saw in the first week against Indianapolis. All the sort of creativity and the easy completions went away. What happened with the offense in the second half?
Yeah, with the game in general, Mike, we scored. You look back, we scored on a huge play, 60-something. Then we scored from the 5-yard line. So we didn't have the ball very long. Then we score again from 60-something, and so we never established our ability to drive the football in the game. It just was kind of unusual that we were out ahead like that and had not really established a rhythm to the offense. And so in the second half, we for one reason had a couple penalties, we had a couple problems, we missed a couple calls, and in that we missed a couple short yardage situations. And all of that added up to no rhythm through at the finish of the game when we needed it. We needed one more drive. We needed a drive to go finish the game. Again, let me go back. The short drive, the 2 big plays, and then the gorgeous 2-minute drive. Right at the end of the half. All of those were kind of situations by themselves that didn't contribute to having control of the line of scrimmage in the ball game like we would like.
So is the line, when you point to that, when I hear you say that at the end, is that the culprit, the control of the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, it was in general. We didn't, we weren't running. We hadn't run the ball a lot. We didn't need it to get the points on the board. So when we did need it to finish the game, the defense got to stop in overtime. We needed to go just drive down and go, make our win and bid. Or with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, we get the ball. Let's go win the game. I'm saying let's finish the game right here. The game's over, and we need to get a first down. We didn't get it, and the ball goes back to them. And you think about how the time runs down, a couple first downs in there, it's a different finish. And so we had both sides of the ball had opportunities. And in this game, different than the first game, we didn't complement our play as well from one side to the other. So it hurt us at the end.
Were you legitimately going for it on 4th and 1 there?
Of course, Mike. Why would you ask it like that?
Well, I wasn't sure whether that was a legitimately going forward or try to get him to jump off sides, et cetera, because we're seeing more of it in the NFL. We saw John Harbaugh do it last night to ice the game, right? And that's a little bit different situation. If they get the 4th down, it's over and they win. It's a guarantee. But I don't know. It's a break certainly to trust your offense in that spot rather than to try to punt it deep. So I was curious if you were going for it there.
We have both options. We have both options there, to whether we're going for it and whether we're kicking it. Well, I liked that situation because that first down right there, in essence, does the same thing. I think that finishes the game for us. That's why we're those kinds of thoughts come to mind.
How would you assess Russ yesterday?
I thought Russ took advantage of the game well until the last sequence. We just we had a play action pass, and I wish we could have controlled the ball and checked the ball down there. Took a shot at Tyler, and then we went up to DK on second down, and then our opportunity escapes us right there, and they get the ball inside the 40. So that sequence was the one. I wish Russ could have helped us there, and this made completions for us. We needed to just move the ball there and change the field position at least in overtime, because you're playing field goal right there, and so unfortunately we didn't get it done.
It's easy for me to sit here in the media and just sort of talk about Russ's game, this, that, and the other, but it's remiss not to mention what I would have to imagine is his mental and emotional state heading into that game with the passing of Trevor Moawad this past week. First of all, did you know Trevor as well? Because my condolences to you also.
Yeah, I know. I knew him through Russ, and I'd known of him for all of the work he'd done. It was difficult on Russ. It's a guy that's been extremely close to Russ in his most intimate, priorities. Trevor was part of it and helping him and mentoring him and all of that. And he did take it noticeably. I thought, he did everything he could to put it where it needed to go and used all of the teachings that Trevor and he had come to understand about controlling the factors and the variables that can distract. And I thought Russ did a fantastic job of getting that done.
How much do you talk to Russ about that over the course of the week?
We did. We did talk about it, and tried to stay on point with it, with helping him in the areas of focus and staying finding time to spend on it when he had to and when he could, and then also separating so he could function like he wanted to.
And then how about behind the scenes with Shane Waldron? After week 1, I was joking that everyone was creating a bust for his Canton bust, so to speak. But he gets to experience a little bit more of what the NFL is. The first time anybody's really had his offense to game plan against. There was something on film for Tennessee to look at. What are the next steps for him as he continues what is really his rookie year as a play caller and coordinator?
Yeah, just finding the consistency, and the rhythm. We were a rhythm escaped us, through the course of that game, and because we scored so explosively, and after the turnover, we never really found our way, and when we needed it, so that's realizing how important it is to have that sense of the mix of the run and the pass, so that we can get what we want done, and so that's he's going to keep learning. He's the same guy he was week 1. He's a fantastic football coach, and he's helping the heck out of us and had us in great position. We need to win that football game. I don't know how many times it's happened. We haven't lost very many games since we've been here when we're ahead like that, and so that's unfortunate. And that was a whole team's effort. We all contributed to that.
There's some conversation about adjustments, right? And that's one of the major things that certainly has been sort of batted around in the media and amongst fans from last year is one of the problems with the offense last year was an inability to adjust in game or over the whole second half of the season to what was being done against you. What did you make of his ability to adjust yesterday to what Tennessee was throwing at you?
No, we were not uninformed of what was going on and what we were trying to do. We were tuned into how they were doing it. We were anticipating the calls and the coverage concepts that they were using. Our guys were talking their way through it throughout the game. That had nothing to do with it.
How do you get your running game going?
Just got to keep going. Got to keep doing it. Got to stick with it. And we needed it in the fourth quarter. And that's why you work so hard and you pay the credence to the value of the run game is so that when you need it, you got it. And we just didn't get to it. We threw the ball quite a bit at the end of the game, and really trying to stay on the attack and stay aggressive, we missed out our chance to run the football there where we could have run some clock and maybe control that game a little easier.
How healthy was your offensive line? It seemed like you guys were battling some injuries there.
We made it through it. Bichelle, he sprained his ankle, and we'll see how that responds. The MRIs and stuff were pretty positive for hopes that he'll be okay. But we were all right. That was not an area of issue.
And then Damian Lewis, he popped onto the injury report midway through the week. How did he come through it?
He was fine.
He was fine. Anyone else we get back this week? Dwayne Eskridge? Do we get a chance to see D. Eskridge?
The reports are real good coming out of the weekend that he feels back to normal, and so he'll be worked back in. And if he can maintain the workload, then he'll be fine to go. Has a real good chance to come back and play. Anybody
else I'm missing? Brian Monet?
We'll have to wait and see on Brian. It all depends on how he responds. He had a pretty good injury to his tricep, and so we just need to see how it comes back. How it responds to the work and the pushing and all of the heavy-duty stuff he has to do. He would have been a very valuable part of this game. We really missed him this week.
Yeah. How did Kim Dichie do in his first action?
He did okay. He played good, solid football. Played close to 30 plays, I think, and had a pretty good, go of it. Probably more plays than we wanted him to play in his first time out, but he handled it okay.
Well, you get 2 on the road now, a little 2-game road trip, starting with Minnesota. I don't know if you got to see much of the highlights of that. Kyler Murray really did some spectacular things against them.
I've not seen that yet.
400 yards for Kyler Murray. I mean, he's like a water bug. He seems so challenging to tackle.
Yeah, he's just getting better. As he gets more comfortable with the game, his talent will continue to show. He's been obviously a talented football player, but he, like you see in the first 2 weeks, he's really put up a bunch of numbers and all, and he'll be difficult when the time comes.
Well, Coach, good stuff. Thanks for coming in this morning. We'll go back and get him next week.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All
See
right,
ya.
there you go.